Shall we talk about how we saw Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because since we last recorded, we saw Spider-Man. Yeah. We went through to Glasgow. If people don't know, I feel like if you're listening to a film podcast and you don't know that there was filming for Spider-Man going on, that would be quite odd because it felt like it was everywhere.
Well, yeah, but I think also because we live in Scotland.
Oh, sure.
We just get on TikTok like all the time.
They were filming through in Glasgow. Glasgow's becoming more of a hub for like Hollywood studios to come and film films here because they get tax breaks.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, and we went to see Spider-Man. Tom Holland was not there anymore. It was a stunt double.
Or stunt doubles.
Doubles. We only... Well, yeah, I guess
we don't never know how many we saw.
We saw Spider-Man on a tank. If you've seen the photos and videos, it was that tank. But it was quite stationary. It moved about. It was just quite fun to like go through and see.
Yeah, it was... I got a kick out of seeing Spider-Man like pretend to shoot webs to attach himself, like stabilize himself on buildings, and he's just a stuntman being like.
It was very cool as well to see some of Glasgow turned into New York.
Yeah,
like American flags hanging from like Glaswegian buildings was like very cool.
Yeah, it was a nice experience. Kind of difficult to see stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's their job. They've done it quite well. Where like. There's only certain viewpoints and they're quite crowded.
You see what they want you to see.
Yeah. But it was still fun. We got good photos, I think. You haven't looked yet.
The stuff on my phone, I'm like, it's Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
it's not like a nice photo to look at.
Oh.
Stuff on my camera I haven't seen yet, so.
Maybe you've got a big gem in there somewhere.
Maybe. There was one that I liked, buried somewhere.
And stay tuned to the Plot to Go social channels for that. Welcome back to Plot to Go. Episode. Oh fuck! I have no idea what episode this is.
34?
30. Oh my plot. 34.
Nice.
No, that's a guess.
34.
Yes, 34. Preemptive notice that if you listen to these episodes in chronological order, the next 4 episodes are going to be kind of all over the place. We have some film festival coverage coming up next week. And then a break, and then we'll have some more film festival coverage, and then in between those we'll have random movies. It's gonna be a bit all over the place. We have life stuff happening and schedules are wackadoo.
Yep.
And also we wanted to really cover Edinburgh Film Festival in a more in-depth way because I mean while we're shooting this we're in the middle of Edinburgh Film Festival.
We're literally just back.
Yeah, we're literally just in the door. Yeah.
From
a conversation with Nia DaCosta, which was fun.
It was lovely.
It was very cool. She seems very cool. So yeah, we want to break away into those episodes and actually shine a spotlight on some of those smaller movies. So look forward to them. I'm Jack.
I'm Owen.
But this week we're talking about Materialists. And I'm talking about The Life of Chuck because in the midst of all this, Owen also was ill.
Yeah, it's not been great. We've tried to cram in a lot,
and
I have not been the best place to do it.
Yeah, it's fine. We move. I think we're gonna kick this off with a review of Materialists, which we filmed 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna throw it over to Jack. Oh no, you're gonna throw it over to Jack.
Yeah, sure. Jack, take it away.
Wow, thank you, Jack, for that great segue.
I want to segue it just so that doesn't match up.
No. We're talking about Materialists. We got to see it early. And yet we're recording this later than when we actually saw it.
By like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's still early.
So
Here
we are.
So early.
Materialists, if you don't know, is the next movie from Celine Song, acclaimed person, I guess, in all facets of filmmaking, for her previous film, Past Lives, which I don't know. I do know how you feel.
You do know how I feel about Past Lives, yeah.
Past Lives is one of those movies that has stuck with me, and it's only grown on me more. And I constantly think about that movie. Little bits and bobs from it. It was one of those movies that I saw initially, and I rated like 4.5. There was like little bits holding me back. The main thing being at the very end, I didn't like get really emotional and like sob and whatever, and people were saying they had these like profound reactions at the end. I was like, oh, it didn't hit me that hard. It took me into my third viewing that I was like, I know this works for me, but on a different level. It's not hitting me emotionally in that way where I'm the person, but like I'm like empathizing with that person. I don't know. I think it's a gorgeous ending, but it took a little while to like fully become a 5-star movie in my opinion. I think it's gorgeous. You don't particularly love that movie.
No, but I want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I disliked it. I'd say I liked it, but I was so confused at the reception for it being so high, I think. And like you said, for the end of the film, I don't feel like I necessarily connected with the film for all of it. So whilst I can sit there and be like, I think this was like a well-made film, it never like landed with me the way I think it landed with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that I do want to see again before I go like, this is how I feel about that film, because I'm not concrete on how I feel about that film.
Which I think that's always interesting as well about movies, is that you have an ever-growing opinion about stuff, and sometimes you have to live life and bring lived experiences into a film to appreciate stuff more.
I feel like I rushed through that one as well. Was that the 2023 Oscars?
Yes, it was part of your like catch up for the best picture stuff.
And yes, I watched a lot of films.
I think I like saw you the day of, and you'd watch like that and The Holdovers and something else on the same day.
Yeah.
So, and they're not like easily digestible films, like films you want to sit with.
Yeah.
I think Celine Song, at least in her 2 features she's made now, is very much a director who enjoys the written word. Like you have certain directors who are like that, and I think some people are drawn to. I'd say like Greta Gerwig feels very much like a screenwriter's director, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a plethora of other directors. Just Greta Gerwig came to mind. I think Celine Song fits in that camp where it's like, sit with these characters and really chew on the words that they're saying. And I think Materialists is a apt follow-up to her previous movie. Materialists, if you don't know, it is about a young matchmaker, Dakota Johnson. I don't know. Oh, I do know her name. Lucy. Her name's Lucy. Who has been a matchmaker for a plethora of years now, and she's just finished setting up her 9th marriage.
It is a pretty high number. I had 7 in my mind, but it might be 9.
A high number, shall we say. She's made a lot of marriages. And the way that she operates is she works for like this very high-end New York like matchmaking service, and they kind of poach like high-end men. I guess maybe women as well. We only really see her do it with men in the movie.
Sorry, it also just feels disgusting to describe it all that way as well. But point of film.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like the intro to our movie, she is walking down the street and she meets a man on the street because the man's like ogling her, and she realizes that he's a good fit for their matchmaking business, where she can set him up with somebody, they pay them an enormous fee, and they make a happy marriage and whatever. The point of the movie that we come into is she is going to this wedding that she has set up, this 9th high number wedding, and there she meets Pedro Pascal, who in their business is called a unicorn, a man who ticks all the boxes, who is incredibly rich and incredibly,
he's like wealthy, handsome, tall,
lives in a nice place.
Yeah, like has all like these. Literally, like you said, he ticks all the boxes.
Also, one of these things that his personality seems not deplorable, which other men have seemed like that up until this point in the movie. So yeah, it's like she has caught a unicorn. She realizes that he could maybe be a part of this matchmaking service. At the same time, she runs into her ex, Chris Evans, whose name is
Chris.
John. I was going to say Chris.
I was also going to say... I was going to guess his name is Jack, because the name Lucy is such a basic one.
Oh, okay.
I thought they'd go straight for Jack as well.
They don't name characters Jacks in the movie because it is too basic, and it's really frustrating.
Is there not that many? I mean, there's Jack Frost.
Okay. We'll move swiftly along from that. Her ex, Chris Evans, John, comes back into her life at the same wedding. He is a waiter there. He's working the wedding. He's doing hospitality. And we learn that they kind of broke up because of John's financial situation, and his ambition was not in line with where Lucy saw her life going. And it's this point where Lucy is kind of having to decide whether or not she wants to choose this unicorn that she's allowed herself to maybe see dating, or go back and fall in love with her ex, John. This is Materialists. Owen, your thoughts on this movie?
I don't want to talk about this movie because I want to like it, and I really don't.
You really don't?
Like, I walked out and remember how I was like, oh, I have really mixed feelings about this film.
Yes.
I think I've only soured on the film.
Oh.
Yeah. Which isn't great.
No.
Also, again, we're doing no spoilers, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to tread around what I want to say here.
We will do a spoiler part for this, because at this point it was spoiled for me going into the movie, and we've spoken on this podcast around the spoiler of this movie.
Have we?
Yes.
Excellent.
I think I called it blank blank propaganda.
Oh, sure. So I can, without saying, right, I'm just going to say what I want to say, and I won't be necessarily explicit on like actual plot points, but
okay, so we don't need spoilers.
we're just going to like...
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Again, I'm just going to rattle through bullet points like I did last week, which I watched back a bit of it, and I was like, oh, I don't think it necessarily sounded like I was just going like dum 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 dum, but that's what it felt like at the time.
No, okay, but we'll form conversation. Don't worry. Don't get your own head.
Okay.
Can I ask, because Owen, normally this is far more conversational, our reviews. You have wrote a lot of notes for this. Is this because of how much it annoyed you that you want to... Okay, this is going to be a really interesting conversation then.
The first bullet point I have is yikes.
Oh no, what?
There you go. The plot of this film centers around our main character, played by Dakota Johnson, and her work eventually leads to a love triangle. Woo.
Oh no! Stop this.
Literally, this is how I've written this. I think I was so annoyed when I was writing this. It attempts to be a discussion on modern dating dynamics, but it does it with so much more tell than show. Like, the film is so exposition heavy that it's really frustrating at times. It's obviously not just that, but like it could be quite grating. Yeah, Dakota Johnson does a lot of like, you know, like the mathsy fake equation-y thing that she kind of does within the film to explain how people are suited for people in this world, this dating world, which is sort of fine. Like, it makes sense for her character to be weighing people up like that, but it feels like there's so much of it. And I get that that's who she is, but I feel like they kind of just bang you over the head with it. I swear she does it like 3 or more times. It is a lot. And I think part of what they're trying to do there is show how ridiculous that line of thinking is. So as a viewer, you're like, that's really stupid. Why would you think like that? But eventually it reaches a point in the film where she makes a decision that is still in line with that line of thinking, which I can't get into because we're not doing spoilers, or not at this point. We're not.
Wait, at what point in the movie?
Further down the line,
she makes a...
That's in line with that sort of thinking,
being logical, and this is not early on in the movie.
No.
Then I don't know what you're talking about. Wait.
The film is a book ending with scenes of cave people expressing love for each other. I like the first one.
Interesting.
I like how that opens.
Because this movie opens with like cave people and they're exchanging things, material things, in exchange for love. Like, it's a marriage of like they're materialists.
But it's so like grounded as well. Like, I think it shows like a level of purity or innocence in some ways. because what's being handed over there is like from the natural world. Like what that thing is gonna like degrade and die. Like it's not permanent. It's not something like. It's not some shiny thing that this person's been wanting for like a long time, or that someone's like bought with the credits that they've earned to give over to someone. Like it is showing that, but I think it shows like a very base version of it before you just flash over to the material world. What were you laughing at?
Sorry. When you said credits, I was like, are we in Star Wars?
I just to show how ridiculous the world that we live in is.
Yes,
Yeah.
You're just being inclusive of all
All
currencies.
credits.
Yeah, credits.
Yeah, it shows the contrast between the world then and now.
Sure.
But like you said, there's a through line there.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one, I think, was horrific. The book ending part.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like you're in the same boat on, but I'm not sure.
I didn't like I would have cut both.
Okay, fair enough.
That to me was very like, here's the theme of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the movie. I didn't need you surmise the movie in 5 minutes in the start and the end. I watched the movie and I absorbed the film to take away that message.
Yeah.
I don't need these little tacked on bits.
I like it as an introduction. I don't necessarily know why. I feel like it's some sort of whiplash.
Yeah.
But it worked for me.
Maybe, because as you're saying, if you took away from that was like natural world stuff, and then hard cut to her in her New York apartment.
Yeah, I read it differently
walking
than you.
down her New York.
Yeah.
Then yeah, sure.
Because the way that they do the end one is there's like a kind of the voiceover-y stuff happening as well. It becomes like this.
What is love?
Yeah, like a little like cliched kind of
Sure.
thing at the end. I don't particularly like that sort of thing. Parts of this film that I did like, the B plot with the client that Dakota Johnson spends most of her time with. It's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Discusses some very real world possibilities that come from online dating. And something that like I've honestly never really thought about before, and surprised that they kind of covered it in. I mean, this is.
Do you not know anybody it's happened to?
No.
Interesting.
Do you know people in real life that this happened to? I've never heard of that happening to someone.
Gosh.
In real life. So I do think it was an interesting thing for them to like tackle and I guess raise awareness for, because if there's someone like me sitting there going like, I've never really thought about that before, because it's something I've never really had to worry about, and it definitely will happen to women way more. Yeah. I don't think I know that many women that like do online dating. Fair. So it's never something that I'm exposed to.
Yeah. There was a lot of criticism surrounding that subplot as well, of people saying how it wasn't integral to the story. This is, just as a pause, this is a very weird movie to review because we're seeing it early. However, the rest of the world has had it for months. It's had social media reactions and talking about it. It's had professional reviews. It's had all of this hubbub. So actually, when we're reviewing it, there is a wealth of opinions out there. And it's just very interesting to see, because normally when we're reviewing films, it's very unsullied by other stuff. It's our opinions.
Mine's pretty much just is. I did go and look up to see, because I was a little confused about where I sat with things. Yeah. But it's not pushed me anyway, because I've not seen enough strong opinions on any way, I think.
Just in regards to that subplot, people are saying it should be cut out of the movie. It doesn't make sense. I think it's integral to understanding Lucy as a character and why her mind might flip and stuff.
Definitely like her motivations for later. Totally. I think that's a weird criticism.
Yes, I do as well.
I think I did see a criticism that was that getting used as a plot device for Lucy, which is saying the complete opposite thing of the criticism that's saying that it should be removed. So
I also think that maybe comes from the perceptions people had about this movie, which maybe once you get through your stuff, because that's a whole other topic we can talk about.
Sure. I'm assuming, because I did look at the letterbox graph, this seems kind of all over the place with opinions wise.
It seems to be.
I think some of the romance stuff is beautiful, but most of it is cliched and kind of disgustingly melodramatic. Wow. Yep.
Do you want to expand upon that?
I'm sure I will at some point. I have, oh no, this beautiful catcher of a man lives in the horrid small apartment. There's a horrific line about growing old and having children, which is only saved by Chris Evans' performance.
That's not a
bad line.
That's not a bad line.
It's very like generic. It doesn't feel.
When I see you, I see grey hair and wrinkles and
children. Yeah. That didn't feel like that wasn't profound to me. I feel like I've thought like that before. I didn't feel like I'd.
Well, maybe you have profound thoughts. Maybe
I do. But yeah, that never. I like that the delivery of that line, but there was never a part of me that thought, "Oh, that is an excellent line." Does that make sense?
But right, a devil's advocate, is it not a really wonderfully written line because it doesn't feel written? It feels like somebody's just being like, when I see you, they're just saying random shit. Like, I want to grow old with you, but they're saying it in their own weird,
I think it does
unintelligent way. Oh, okay.
I feel like I can see that on paper quite easily, but I think Chris Evans delivered it in a way that is like it is coming from him. I think they tried to imbue it with colour and less fixed camera work later in the film. But there wasn't enough of it to make an impact, and I don't think it was different enough either compared to earlier in the early half to like 2/3 where it was all static and stale because it was more like the online dating world. I honestly didn't feel like it switched up that much, and it made me feel like it was quite stagnant throughout. There are parts where I think there was good camera work, which I think I have written down here.
I said this to use when I left the cinema.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was either you or Samuel that felt like it felt wooden or something at the start. And I said, I think that is the point of the movie, because there is this... I think Celine Song is directing this in a way of, I said, in two halves. One of it which is symbolic of just the modern dating world. Everything feels so like rigid and uncomfortable and wrong. Like, and I'm not saying that as a bad way. I actually mean that in a very positive way. I think stilted like lines, like nothing feels it all feels like serrated. Nothing's it's like jigsaw pieces that don't fit. Everything's just like strange and like boxed in and static. And then you get this wonderful switch up. Actually, you get a switch up early on that's a flashback.
Yep.
That feels really fluid and embodies so much emotion, even though that flashback that you get is a inherently negative emotion that they're going through,
and in a very similar place to what they're already.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So you can feel the switch up, and even though it's negative, it has colored her life differently, with more emotion, with more fluidity. It just feels more natural. And then you go back to the staticness, and then there's the proper like midway switch up of the movie, and everything becomes lighter, and the camera is like free flowing. It's not lit with like static, like harsh overhead lighting. Suddenly lighting is from lamps and like string lights, like fairy lights kind of things. And there's a warmth to the film that's missing from the first half. And it is a show don't tell way of showing how Lucy is feeling in her life. And I think it is symbolic of like how love creeps into people's lives, that they aren't able to tick boxes and have a checklist and make sure everything's right on paper. When people feel it, they feel it, and suddenly their life is more colourful and more free flowing and like.
Do you
warm,
feel like there was enough of that at the end that was different?
I do. I think okay. I think so.
Because I didn't. Aside from specifically that scene that you're talking about, I 100% agree. Sorry, there's two scenes. The end one, I also agree with the first one. The end one with the fairy lights and things.
The grey hair wrinkle scene.
Sure. That is lit very differently. But I think that's specifically because it's like night time.
The way that they're in a car, so the switch up happens and they immediately get in a car. Immediately the camera starts to like flow instead of statically on them.
Right.
Then they're at this location during the day, and the camera isn't necessarily like fluid at that point, but they're shot in wides, and there's greenery and nature around them, and then there's a scene where they're dancing and the camera is just flowing around them. There's multiple like filmmaking devices that are used. It's not like just fluid camera. I did get a sense of
about the lighting there.
Or like again in the car, like there's this warmth, there's sun beaming through, whereas up until this point she's in like static cafes that are all like white tables, or like
there's a lot of white towards the start of the film for sure.
Or even when she's like going on dates at the start, it is this is where I think the film's interesting in its commentary. It's in the trailer. It is in the trailer. She dates Pedro Pascal.
Right. I'm pretty sure that's at least implied by the trailer.
Sure, yeah. She's dating Pedro Pascal at the start. And yes, it does feel static in the way that it is shot and stuff. But then they're in these like really nice dates that are like really lovely lit. It's still dimly lit though. And there's like other... They're using location that maybe would make you think it is warm and lovely and she's feeling love, but they are using language in those places to make sure that she's not fully there yet. So like when they're dating, there's they're not really close to each other.
That's true.
At all these dates, some of them they're really far apart, and there's this pretense around money and the food that they're eating, and there's a distance between them that's not always there. Sometimes that distance closes and they do get close together and they do feel warmth. But I still think that's also commentary the film's trying to make on. She doesn't not love this guy at the point that she's at in the film. She does. But at that point she loves him for material things. So there is a period of like warmth, but it doesn't ever feel like right at the start. And I think it feels right towards the end. I don't know. I got so much out of this, and I know I've not seen anybody talk about this.
Well, you're specifically lighting.
Because this was me right after the cinema.
Yeah, yeah. And you've not heard anyone talk about that stuff?
No, I haven't actually. I've been so busy since we saw this.
Yeah.
I've not had time to write my review on this.
Yeah, yeah. That's shocking, actually.
Yeah, I know.
I never really had a thought about the warmth towards the start of the film, but I never felt like it got all that warm towards the end of the film, personally. Which I think is where that criticism is coming from. Not a lack of it towards the start, because I think it's quite clear that this is supposed to be. So I was never really thinking about where's the warmth, even in those scenes that you're saying there's like a little bit of. But towards the end of it, I just didn't really feel it.
Even like when they're in bed. Her and Pedro Pascal, they're in this massive bed. The way that they're shot, they're in these like silk white sheets and they look stupid. There's like a love that's between them, but then you get these wides and they're like it just looks so like static's not the right word. Clinical. It looks clinical. And that's her character. She is clinical. The way she thinks about love is clinical. And that's maybe not always the right thing.
I don't remember the score, but I think it may have been one of the stronger parts of the film.
I really like the score.
Yeah, because I don't remember what it was, but I think I remember saying being like, I'm enjoying what they're playing right now. I feel like it fits with what's happening.
Yeah.
Also, on the point of the sheets, I thought the set design was very good.
Oh, gorgeous. Helps when you have rich characters.
Yeah, no, I said there's a 1-2 punch where we see Dakota Johnson and Pedro Pascal on silk sheets, and then it cuts to Chris Evans on like your average duvet.
Yeah.
Which, if you saw that duvet, not that one specifically, but like an average white duvet, you'd probably be like, oh, that's like a nice duvet.
Sure.
But it crumpled up with him on top of it, cut to like silk sheets. You're like, that does not.
Does it have like really good bed head as well?
It probably does. Yeah. I didn't like the color grading, but I think it makes sense for the film at the very least, like that pale sheen over everything. I think I was just annoyed because it didn't feel like that went away enough. So I say that they try and bring in like oranges later in the film, but it doesn't. It feels like they're trying to make it warm. It doesn't feel to me like the film is getting warm. This is going to be an interesting one. Who was your favorite performance?
This could be a long conversation. I think Chris Evans gets the best performance in this. Now, is that also symptomatic of the fact that he has been in some of the worst movies possible ever since he finished up in the MCU?
No, because I haven't seen those films.
Yes, you have. Red One.
Never mind. I was thinking, like, is he not in the Grey Man?
Yep. Ghosted with Anna de Armas.
Yeah, but I've only seen Red One, I think.
That's enough.
Alright.
He's just, like, he is a good actor, and it was just nice to see him really, like, embody this character. I think the way he's very good with subtlety in this. The pining in his eyes for her for a time that he longs and that he misses, I thought was just like really palpable.
I said I think he outperforms everyone.
Okay, way to make this a negative.
I don't even know what I've written there.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't remember how tired I was when I was writing this. I said then it's like Dakota Johnson in like 30% of the film. Then it's Pedro Pascal and mostly Dakota Johnson. And then at the bottom it's like Dakota Johnson for like 10% of the film. I think her performance is all over the place.
So I find it really funny because she seems to be one of these actors that some people just absolutely hate and can't get on board with, and some people adore. I really like. I'll get into why, but I think she does an excellent performance with the character that she's given in this.
I think she does good on both ends. Like the clinical version of her now, and also like the flashback scene where you see her before she's like gone into that world. I think those are both good performances. But obviously you spend most of the time with her as that clinical version. So I think there's definitely like weak points or weak scenes that are only spent in that time because you don't get enough of the flashback stuff. I don't think I've seen Dakota Johnson in much because I've not seen probably her worst project like Madam Web.
It's killer performance. I don't care what people say.
Oh, it's actually a good performance.
No. What?
It could be though.
I have seen that movie 3 times. I think this has came up on the podcast before. I love that movie for how horrendous it is. It's probably my favourite bad movie.
Yeah, point being is I don't know really anything about that film. So there are films where people have a really good performance and it's dire around them.
She fits how bad that movie is.
Okay, great.
She's in The Social Network, which you have seen.
Right.
She's in it briefly.
Okay.
Have you seen The Lost Daughter?
Nope.
Great in that. She's in 21 Jump Street, Bad Times at the El Royale, a few different. She's in the 50 Shades movies. Maybe I would say it's now Materialist. Prior to this, her performance in Cha Cha Real Smooth. Have you seen that?
Nope. That's one that you've told me to watch.
Really good.
But
movie.
only recently you've told me to watch that.
Oh, really? Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, people watch that movie.
Yeah, so I said I was pleasantly surprised by her acting, but there's a line about her not being able to act, which I think is both diabolical and brilliant in this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's excellent writing. That's cinema. That's top tier.
And to me, that's cinema.
I really
wish the line was, "Oh, that Madam Web girl, she doesn't know how to act."
God, can you imagine if there was like a Spider-Man reference?
I mean, there could be. They're in New York.
The Madam Web character, I still, because I haven't seen the film, don't quite understand what that is.
She's Madam Web, Owen. She can see the future.
But it's also like the multiverse.
The web of the future.
So it's just within her timeline. That's a lot less interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Not that we need more multiverse movies.
Yeah.
Multiverse of Materialists.
Hell yeah, give me...
I said the characters in this are not real people. Name an interest. What do you genuinely know about these people? We know their characters, like their morals, but do you know what they do in their free time? What are their end goals, their interests, where are their friends? Chris Evans likes to act. I think his character's more fleshed out so that he looks like more of a real person to like gravitate towards too. But you know what would also be nice, like a real protagonist to gravitate towards too.
Did you say name and interest?
What are they actually interested in?
Right, I think that's entirely reductive.
What do you mean?
You say Chris Evans thing.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is a down on his luck person who's trying to be an actor still, and he's aging, and he still has this dream, and he is still like fighting tooth and nail to get to that dream. We see him perform in that play, like.
So everything about him is that he's pure and likes acting.
But like, the purpose of this movie is to explore the facets of love with those three characters.
Yeah, it feels like everyone's a plot device.
I never felt that way. I understand why you'd feel that way about Pedro Pascal, because honestly, that is the way he's trying to be characterized. I feel like he is this exorbitantly rich man who is the only purpose he really has. He has his work, which gives him money. And then he's like, oh, well, what do I do with my rest of my time? I'm going to find my love. That's it. And I think Dakota Johnson is wonderfully complex, but I'll get to that.
I said the argument outside the car scene was a standout scene for a reason, because there was tension and there was friction, and it felt like there was people that were frayed around the edges. And even though we get to like the real life stuff again towards the end of the film, it didn't quite feel like that there was that much there. I don't feel like the film genuinely has stuff to say about the world that we live in. I think it added context without there being commentary. It's
Find your words, you got it.
yeah. The line I've written here is I think it added context without any of the commentary, and that commentary without any of the context would have been far more interesting.
What do you mean by that?
So that because this film is about love and dating and all that it entails, this film chooses to explore that through the context of dating apps, and I think it becomes just that.
But it's not dating apps.
Sorry, not dating apps. Dating the modern dating world. Yeah, sorry. Like,
but is that not what modern dating is?
Not for everyone. I feel like.
Interesting.
Look, a bit about my personal life. Sure, I've used dating apps, and I know probably a good few people that have, but I don't think it's completely reduced down to that. We have a friend that the person that he's just started dating, I say just started dating, that for a few months now, that wasn't through a dating app. It's not exclusively that.
No, it wasn't, but this movie, I can perfectly map onto the person they've just started to date. Genuinely.
We'll get to that after the podcast. The thing I follow up...
Oh, that... Yeah, okay.
With is I saw La La Land for the first time this week, and I think it was far better at covering the same themes.
Oh, they're not covering... No! That's not the same themes at all!
Relationships, money, passion.
But yeah... It's the same, like, high-level themes.
That film felt so real, steeped in a veil of filmness that this film could only dream of.
Oh my god.
It manages to be nostalgic whilst also providing something original that feels new and grown. Those two characters of unreal chemistry being freaking...
Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say Ryan Gosling, and then for a minute I was like, is it Ryan Gosling?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. They have unreal chemistry, both have passions that lead them in different directions, and they're also struggling financially, and like that's the whole thing. One follows their passion by chasing money to get there in the long run, the other follows their passion by purely following their passion, and that works for them.
Wait,
like,
don't spoil La La Land.
It has been, at this point, nearly 10 years.
You've just seen the... And you have tried every time La La Land's been brought up to go like, la 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 la.
I've not said what the ending is to this.
No, but that's the main point of the movie.
They support each other, they drift apart, fall out, move on. Also, I feel like a connection, and it's beautiful and complicated. And I genuinely really like La La Land, and that is something that is only grown on me.
You don't need to explain to me.
No, but like
whose favorite film?
I know, but like I think you understand.
Yes.
So much where the love for that film is coming from.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is better than that, but
I definitely know you would not be saying that. For some reason I just moved on to La La Land. I just said it was fun and impressive through and through.
So now you've got a review for La La Land.
No, it's done now. I got to that point where I didn't know how to feel about Materialists when I walked out, and then I soured on it, and then I watched La La Land, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It makes me dislike this thing even more. So, yep. Now you can say all the wonderfully positive things about Materialists.
I want to talk about I want to pick up on a few different threads that you laying on the ground, Owen. First, I want to talk about Lucy as a character. I'll get personal as well. I felt like I related to her a little. Logical
with the mathematical clinical. I would not say you're clinical at all.
I'm not, but there's parts of her personality that it's like everything. You're not exactly who characters are, but like you can find pieces of characters that you relate to and stuff. And I just thought she was really wonderfully written in the sense of like, I just felt like I knew who this woman was. Like when she was younger, she had an idea for where her life, specifically pertaining to love, was going to end up. And that is all communicated through that flashback. I mean, you don't need much more than that. I think that's enough to understand who she was up until that point. She had mapped out her life and what it was going to look like. Suddenly she actually feels love for the first time, something that is the interstellar thing of it's kind of inquantifiable. You can't really capture it and distill it into numbers and stuff. Just because somebody feels that way doesn't mean they're going to have the emotional intelligence to understand that she can't quantify it. She's felt it, but that's different. That's different to like process that that's not how love works. So in that scene where she's like, you know, I love you to John, but like our life, this isn't where I see my life going. You're not the path that I have laid out for myself. It's all in her head of like having to deal with the fact that her life's not going the way that the way that she wants it to go. And in her mind at that point, she can make an active decision to put her life on that track. And she does. And she forgoes this kind of love that she felt to pursue something else. And it's like she's... I find her interesting because I think she's a very hopeful character in her like goals. But I think there's like a sadness that comes from her being clinical, and the sadness is manifesting itself as her being clinical and logical, because it's the only way that she's known how to deal with things. So she's just going to continue to do that until it works out. And guess what? It might not work out that way. You sometimes might have to follow feelings or like try not make sense of everything. And I do agree there was one too many lines of her going, but love is not maths. Hey, I'm glad you recognize that, Dakota. I really am. Don't need to bash on about it. But I do like that she comes to this realization over time that like on paper something might look incredibly right, fit all her boxes and something, but until you've had lived experience or felt like feelings of love, like it's just you're not able to distill that onto like a sheet of paper. And I thought her journey of doing that, going like processing that, I just thought was really wonderful. I just really loved seeing her come to that realization over time. I had something else to say about that. I can't remember.
I touched on like the mathematical stuff, which you went through.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So like her, like when she re-meets John, it doesn't have to be verbalized, but there will be this like feeling deep down. If she has tried to logicify her life so much and none of that's worked, and this has been however long since they broke up, and she's nowhere closer to finding love. And I find it really interesting that she has clearly thrown herself into this career, a career which she doesn't particularly like. Like, she doesn't like the workplace she's in. She seems to do well. She's good at it, but she doesn't give me the vibe that she enjoys it. But it seems to me that she has, like, cut out parts of her life that she can't logically figure out to something that she can. So she's like, well, I can figure this out. Let me throw myself in here. Is that going to make her, like, satisfied or, like, make her live a full, fulfilling life? I don't know. And I don't think it does. And I think she slowly comes to that realization because her relationships at her workplace seem to, like, falter and slip apart, and she realizes that what she's doing, maybe she doesn't align with the work that she's doing. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that happens at the same time she maybe starts to feel real love or understands that she can't quantify real love. I just thought she went, I genuinely, I really, really liked the journey that went on with this character. A little bit, so like, you can just tell when her and Chris, when her and Chris Evans meet, she loves both these people. I'm not saying who she ends up with or whatever, but when she meets Chris Evans for the first time, like outside, it's not a La La Land chemistry, okay? But there is a palpable chemistry to me between those two people.
That's a solid scene.
She's smoking and she's like drawing the outline of his face. Like, that's sensual. Like, there's like, not muscle memory. There's like, what, I can't think of the word.
That kind of is
like,
muscle memory.
you know, people say, you know, what's like the famous like lovey thing? I'd memorize every freckle on your body or whatever the fuck. Like, it's shit like that. Like, she clearly loves this guy, and it's that scene with it. It's just the conversation that they have, the chemistry that's between them, the drawing the outline in the face, and then cuts to a wide before it cuts away from that scene, and her leg like flicks up. I just thought it was gorgeous. And then where the film ends up towards the end, I think I like that Chris Evans line that they have. There's another kind of scene like that where she's talking with a character outside a door, and she says, do I want to spoil the line? Slight spoilers for a piece of dialogue in the movie. But she comes to this realization that she says, like, you're the reason I know I'm capable of love. I thought that was fucking gorgeous. I like the way Celine Song writes. I just really like this character.
I like that line.
Gorgeous. Because it's a real life human being, in my opinion, coming to this realization that the way that they have lived their life is perhaps not the way they want to continue living it. And like, we don't see her do this, but like replaying moments in her brain to understand that the feelings that she had at certain points in her life were special. I don't know. I got a lot out of it, and I really liked her character. So anyway.
Good. Sold. Seal of approval.
Yeah, but you still don't like it, do you?
No, definitely hearing you speak about it, it gives me more of an appreciation for Dakota Johnson's character. It doesn't make me like the film, but it makes me appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. I don't know, it's one of these things as well that I think, kind of as I was saying, if you bring in like lived experiences and stuff into things, or see yourself in different characters, different facets of stuff, I think you can sometimes take away a little more because you place yourself in that scenario, and then you start thinking about you in ways. I'd like to say I have that with all three of these characters. I don't have that with Pedro Pascal. Oops.
Who knew?
Who knew? I don't have a big mansion penthouse in New York.
Not yet.
Not yet. Definitely felt more like the Chris Evans. Flat hunting. Woohoo.
Yeah, his flat was rough. Like I said, I think everything to do with like set design in this.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah.
I did want to speak a little about as well the perception of this movie before the movie, where it was like people are viewing this as a rom-com, and I think this plays into a little bit of the fact of why people are like, that B plot should have just been cut, because it's not comedic. It's not even like romantic. It's quite harrowing. I mean, we spoke about why that fits into the movie, but I just think the way this was marketed, the poster even, this like 2000 rom-coms are back, and the trailer being like, dun 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 dun, she's a big matchmaker in a big city, like.
Yeah, and you just think people were like disappointed because they didn't necessarily get that. I
think this was a blunder in its marketing, and I think it fucked the perception of the movie.
Do you think it was that did it though? Because Bridget Jones was also marketed in a way that was like, this is a rom-com, and then it just was not that.
But it was. The first half an hour, like this emotional, but it's like that like subvert your expectations thing of, but then still feed you. Like make you sad so that you enjoy the laughter more, because that is a funny movie. There are comedic moments in it.
Sure, I think it's a rom-com in the sense of like maybe like beats that it will hit. So like she ends up with someone at the end.
Sure,
but like it's very much not, I think, a traditional rom-com, and neither is this. So I think they're not all that.
No, I think they're vastly different. This isn't funny. This isn't a comedy.
I agreed.
And it's in my comedy for the fucking fantasy draft. It's listed as a comedy. It's not funny. I don't think that's the point. I think if they had a trailer like Past Lives and they pitched this as Oscar-y, a righty movie, sit and kind of think about modern dating and the way that we've all become so materialistic and like want certain things out of people. I don't think this would have been seen by as many people, but I think that people would have seen it. It perhaps would have been more well received. I think you're an interesting case study because none of that applies to you.
Yeah.
And you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think the people who are like, only go to the movies a few times a year, say that there's a rom-com with these three actors, and then they get in and they're like, why was there an SA plotline?
I also don't think those would be the people that would be like spouting that on the internet though.
No, but it leads to like negative perception.
That's true, but I don't think we would have seen that like over here. Like if we were to like, I feel like the people that are sharing their opinions about films on the internet are probably people that are going to see a lot of films.
I don't know. You can still see a lot of films and not be like in the film or like understand what a film is going to be when it comes out.
Just tell me twice.
I don't know. I just think it's very interesting. Anyway,
I like how, personally, I feel like it juggled too many things, and it just felt a bit messy. But I also like the fact that it did that. I like the fact that we can both come away from it and talk about it and kind of like do it piece by piece, because there was that much in it to do that with, as opposed to we just saw Freaky Friday, which will have come out last week for the people watching this.
Yes,
and you can't. There's not much.
You go, it's fun. Yeah. This is why I think it's more like a wordy movie. Like sit down, take away, absorb bits and pieces. Pardon me. I'd rather watch a movie that makes me ponder about stuff than something that I can just like digest like fucking fast food.
Agreed.
But like I have not written a review about this yet because I haven't found the time, because I want to sit and write something about this movie. I'm
still thinking about it. Like, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It feels quite a Marmalade film. Where,
what does that mean?
You know, like Love or Hate It?
Is that Marmite?
It might be
I think
Marmite.
everybody loves marmalade.
My bad, it's Marmite. Yeah, sorry.
That's just jam.
A very Marmite film.
Yes. That's a very Marmalade film. I'm going to start using that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That should become a running thing.
What, if we both disagree, it's
Yeah,
a marmalade
is it a
film?
marmalade or a marmalade?
Great. I actually am a little glad that we waited this long to talk about it as well, because I think my opinion of Past Lives changed dramatically days after I'd seen it, because I had been thinking about it, and I think the same with this. Not to the same extent. This isn't Past Lives to me. I do think this is one of my favourite films I've seen this year. I just really liked it.
Well, good for you, Jack.
I know.
Because some of us want to like it and can't.
But now, this is interesting though. I still want to rewatch this.
Me too.
I want to see if what I've taken away is how I feel about it this next time.
Right.
If I do feel, when we're talking about the filmmaking stuff, if that was just me, like, projecting and being like, oh, she's clinical, now she's not. And I do think with Celine Song there's an intention, but hey ho.
Sometimes I wonder if in this, and maybe also Past Lives, they leave enough space and enough like blank canvas that you can then project feelings onto, and that's why people get different things out of them.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense why I love Past Lives so much, because I too am a Korean girl who moved to her home country and became a playwright in New York City.
Jack, you don't tell me I know your past.
Thank you. Would you recommend this movie?
What's on just now? What's in the cinema?
Oh, what's on when this comes out?
Yeah.
Actually, The Life of Chuck, which neither of us have seen yet. Freakier Friday, Weapons, Bring Her Back,
Look, if
Naked Gun.
If people want a film to enjoy, go watch The Naked Gun.
Yeah.
If you want something to think about or to talk about, go see Materialists. There you go.
I do think this should bring up interesting conversations about love and dating. And look, maybe we're not all like you, Owen, who like perfect and doesn't think this way.
But shallow.
But, oh, great! I'm not going to continue my train of thought.
Go on. You were talking about like that specific kind of dating world, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting to posit these types of questions with people who maybe are on dating apps a lot, or are like really picky about what they're wanting to, who they want to be with and stuff.
Yeah.
I would absolutely recommend this. I think people get a lot out of it.
Alright.
Well, that was Materials. Back to you, Jack and Owen.
In the studio.
Wow, and then we're back. Thanks, Jack and Owen. Great. I really enjoyed our discussion on Materialists, and I hope you did too.
Yeah, I did too.
But this time, now I'm going to talk about The Life of Chuck.
This time.
I was like this week, but
This time we're in.
The Life of Chuck, if you don't know, it's one of these movies, same with Materialists, came out in the States ages ago, and the UK is only getting these movies now alongside a bunch of others. Sorry Baby, which we will talk about in a few weeks, a few others. So like a large majority of the world has seen these movies, but the UK is new. The Life of Chuck is a new movie from Mike Flanagan, who is best known for, I think, the Netflix horror anthology series that he does, Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor.
I think that was the sequel.
Midnight Mass, a whole bunch of that, and he also directed Doctor Sleep. So he has a lot of ties to horror and ties to Stephen King as well. This movie, The Life of Chuck, he is adapting a Stephen King short story that is not horror, but also not horror. It's very in line with Stephen King's other short stories, where it's like the world is normal except there's one element that is bizarre and kind of mystical, and because of that element, the story kind of evolves and goes into what it does. This story, The Life of Chuck, it is the story of an ordinary man, Charles Krantz, who's played by Tom Hiddleston for part of the movie. It is a movie that plays out in reverse. The start of the movie, you see Act 3, and from then on you go Act 3, Act 2, Act 1. So it is a story told from the end of this man's life to the beginning in a strange way. It's a little bit strange movie to review because it is something that you have to kind of experience this first act, which is the third act, to understand what the story becomes, and I don't really want to spoil that for anybody. And a lot of people do like this movie. A lot of people are getting a lot out of it. I didn't particularly enjoy this. In ways I was like, I feel like I watched a different movie to everybody. There's a core central message in this movie that is 20 minutes in, you will know what this movie is trying to say. It's not anything that drastically different, or the start of this movie has this like heady concept, this big sci-fi concept, and you're trying to figure out what's going on in this world. It's all confusing and whatever, but none of that really pays off into anything interesting, because I think you quite quickly figure out why it's so weird and why there's like little quirks and stuff. It's all in service of this message, which is a very basic, plain message of, I'm very curious, because I think, if I don't want to spoil the message, but in the description of this movie it says it is a story of this man as he experiences the wonder of love, the heartbreak of loss, and the multitudes contained in all of us. That there is just what the movie's about. It's just about, like, inside everybody is a multitude of feelings and people and experiences, and we're like, every life is unique, and these like lovely wholesome concepts that, you know, if somebody, it's in the same way that like Superman is like, and this is a story about joy and being kind and da-da-da, but the movie is not the message. And I feel like sometimes people conflate the movie with the message, and because they like the message of a movie, they automatically have to just enjoy the movie. And also the criticisms that are sometimes faced against people criticizing a movie, where they're like, you know, I enjoy the message, but I didn't like XYZ things about the filmmaking, and then suddenly the criticism that's leveled against them is like, well, you just don't like kindness and love, and you don't believe in this message. And sorry, that's more about film criticism in general. But all that to say, I enjoy what this movie is saying. I do not enjoy how the way it went about it. If you walk away not understanding what this movie is about, I think then there's an issue with you. I'm being serious. So there's the heavy-handedness in this metaphor that it's trying to say is not compelling to watch. I'm trying to think about how we can go about this without spoiling it. This first act is really compelling atmospherically. There's a tone that's created. It is this like uneasy sci-fi tone. I guess the premise of that first act is that the world has stopped working. The internet stops working. The world descends into chaos. And people kind of know that the universe is going to end. And they're all kind of coming to terms with what they've done with their lives, what they want to do with their lives, in those moments, who they want to be with, this kind of stuff. You mainly follow Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan. There's a few other little bits and bobs of people that crop up, but it's mainly those two. And they give fine performances. But the way that they speak is not human. It's very explicit dialogue and this metaphor that's trying to be conveyed to you. And it feels like there's a scene in particular that I'm thinking of, where like Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan are on the phone, and they're like, it's Chiwetel Ejiofor is telling Karen Gillan that in the calendar of the universe, this is like a theory in like life and science and whatever, in the calendar of the universe, human beings, if you were to map the age of the universe onto a calendar, human beings only exist on the 31st of December. Like, and the Earth doesn't come into play until, I can't remember exactly, but like November or December or something. It's something stupid. Like, human beings are such a small part of the history of the universe. And he goes on this like call with her for like 5-10 minutes, and it's like he's explaining this theory. For context, Karen Gillan is like his ex partner, and he's just like lamenting about this thing, and she's like, wow, that's so fascinating. In the moment, it's like, this, people don't talk like this, but he gets away with it because there's like something weird going on with this universe. And the reason he talks like that does get explained later on, as does like everything weird in that third act. But it's more like when stuff gets explained, you go, oh, but that doesn't retroactively make it compelling for me. It's just like, oh, that's where that comes from. Really bizarre. So it's got like this nice atmosphere, but I think all the like content there, the writing is just really sloppy. I don't think it's saying anything that profound. You get a second act, which is Tom Hiddleston now, and you see a day in his life. If that, it's just a moment. The entire thing is simply just a moment in his life, and it does not contain any of this like explicit dialogue whatsoever. But it manages to capture all this metaphors, all these like ideas that the film is playing with in a single scene, like sequence. And it's far more effective. It doesn't tell you how to feel or the message that you should be like taken away from this. It allows you to draw your own conclusion. And to me, I'm like, I sat there, even though I knew what the movie was talking about in the first act, so I was already like, oh. But I was like, this is a far more compelling way to show this. It's a really lovely sequence. The entire second act, it's worth like the price of admission. Like it's really entertaining to watch. I think it's a dance sequence for the majority of it, and it brings together Tom Hiddleston and other characters, and it gets across that theme of every person is their own unique person, and we're all having like lived experiences and all that kind of stuff. It gets across that so wonderfully. And then the third act goes into like a like standard coming of age film, like a proper just bog standard coming of age film of Chuck, who's now not played by Tom Hiddleston. It's really weird. Tom Hiddleston's on the poster, by the way. He's in the movie for 30 minutes maybe.
Yeah, I only found that out after you guys had seen it.
Oh really?
And I was shocked.
Yeah, because the advertisement is him.
Yeah.
Bizarre. If anything, it is more this first act, the people in this first act, that, which is the third act of the movie. It's their movie. So I think the kid is played by Jacob Tremblay, if I'm remembering correctly, as a teen. Oh, I don't know who plays him as a kid. Oh, there, Cody Flanagan. I imagine Mike Flanagan's son then, or relation. Anyway, he's great. Mark Hamill plays his granddad. He lives with his gran and granddad. Mark Hamill's phenomenal. He's got like a really, again, overly written, I would say, but it's a nice monologue about maths. Which is
and you
fun.
love a monologue about maths,
I love
Jack.
a monologue about maths, you know me. And it probably features like some of the best performances in that act. But it was just like, it was fine. It was just like a standard coming of age like film condensed down. But I think it's trying to make you retroactively find the other two acts more compelling because of what's shown in the first. And I don't think it does that, sadly. I just found it quite like decent. And after, like, the first act is just so overly written is the word that I would use to describe it. I think that's the best word to describe it. And then you have a real high with the second act, and then you just end on this like fine, like absolute fine ending. And then the mysticalness is kind of revealed at the end, of why this story is the way it is, and it's fine. The theme has been done so much up until that point that then there's the last little stinger that is just repeating the theme in a mystical way. You go, okay, I kind of knew this was what this movie was about, but cool.
Was that in like the last 5 minutes that they go like,
yeah,
magic?
Yeah, there's a is it J? Oh my god, J.J. Abrams has his like locked box or whatever he calls it, mystery box. This is a door that's a lock on it, and he's like, "What's behind that door?" We find out what's behind that door, and it's the mystical thing.
Right.
I do want to get across though. I have absolutely no issue with movies being explicit or like really trying to unpack their themes through dialogue and like having conversations. It just wasn't compelling to me. I don't think the writing was that good. Also, this movie is not my taste in film. Like, I don't particularly like explicitness like that. I'd far rather something like the second act in this movie where it's like you find the message yourself and the dialogue is more natural and it feels lived in and real. But also, I hate a voiceover in a movie. I don't think it's done well all that often, and this has Nick Offerman, who has such a distinctive voice, doing a voiceover over the entire film. So not only are the scenes explicit themselves, then you'll cut to Nick Offerman going, well, here's what the theme is. And you're like, guys, one too many times of that. And even the people that I saw this movie with, who enjoyed it more than me, were like, why was that narration there?
Sure.
So that was my thoughts on The Life Chuck. I'd be interested to hear anybody who really enjoyed it, because I like hearing opposite opinions. I just thought it was fine, and I probably wouldn't recommend it. Yeehaw, I know.
So if I had the chance to go see it in the cinema now,
I'd be curious your thoughts. I mean, I always think it's best if somebody forms their own opinion. Maybe you'd like it. It's just, I don't know. I just thought it was really quite poor, if I'm being honest. Sadness.
For Stephen King.
Well, is he not apparently not a nice person?
He might be, I don't know.
So, I don't know. Raoul Coley's in that movie though, because he's in like all of Mike Flanagan stuff, and I like seeing him pop up. Also, Karen Gillan. It's just nice to see her. She's good in it as well, actually. Quite like her.
She's good in everything she's in.
She is. I don't think I've seen her in anything bad. And I don't know. There's just something nice about being in a Scottish cinema and being like, Scottish person. So, anywho, shall we end with a question, Owen?
Yeah, if it loads.
Oh, there's no loading. There's no...
Huh? Okay.
Oh no.
I'm kind of ruined the audio. Is it doing okay?
I'm not gonna look.
Alright. Do you enjoy the vibe of heading to the cinema and returning to the outside world when it's dark, or do you prefer returning to daylight? What are examples of films where the opposite has been preferred?
Ooh. Do I like the vibe of the cinema? Yes. To answer that first bit, yes, I think it's the way to watch movies. That's
still part of the question. That's not its own question.
Oh right. Oh right. I thought it was, do you enjoy the vibe of the cinema? Pause.
No. Yeah, do you enjoy the vibe of heading to the cinema and returning to the outside world?
Oh right. Okay.
When it's dark.
Well, just for clarity, I do enjoy the cinema. So.
I think I prefer to come out when it's dark. Because normally, like, I'd prefer to go to the cinema later in the day. Like, I don't want to go in when it's roasting and come out when it's not, I mean, it is nice coming out and being like, I still got the day ahead.
Yes.
But I'd rather have just not used the middle chunk of the day to be going to the cinema.
Yeah, I prefer that as a time. Like, I don't think it matters to me whether or not it's dark or light, to be honest. I would rather go either first thing in the morning. I like a morning cinema. I think that's quite fun. Or that, like, evening time.
Yeah.
And I think it's equally nice when you leave and it's still light.
If I walk out and it's like a nice sunset and it's still kind of warm, but there's like a little breeze.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's perfect. I don't know what are the examples. What are examples of films where the opposite is preferred?
Horror, like either coming out and being light and being like, oh thank God, or like coming out in dark and be like, oh, I'm still scared. Well, that's the only thing I can like think of.
Yeah, sure. I feel like imagine going to see like a Christmas film. You walk out and it's like summer.
Oh yeah,
It's
awful.
like bright as day. No.
That's when it's like, oh, the snow's okay, and then until you have to get in your car and you're like, oh shit, I have to drive through the snow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it matters.
What it's like outside.
Yeah, like specifically for certain movies.
Yeah. Although for horror, again, if you walked out and it was like the midday sun.
Then that's maybe like relieving.
Good for you, I guess.
Okay, well,
I think I'd rather match the vibe.
you want somebody to pop out and be like, ah.
Yeah, someone in a clown mask.
Yeah. we can have that arranged.
Oh.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Plot to Go. Episode number 34.
Yes.
Yes. Next week will be our first part of our Edinburgh International Film Festival review
Exciting.
roundup. I think we have 4 films that we're going to talk about, and then the rest of them will come in a few weeks' time. So get hyped. Remember to like and subscribe and follow us on
Spotify
and
YouTube
and
Apple Podcasts
and
TikTok
and
Instagram.
and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.